Naomi Misora. Naomi Misora's death is the most haunting early tragedy in Death Note. A former FBI agent, intelligent and sharp, Naomi was engaged to Ray Penber, one of Kira's first victims. She immediately suspects foul play, and more importantly, she starts putting the pieces together. In just minutes of screen time, Naomi nearly uncovers Light Yagami's identity. Her intellect rivals even L's, but she makes one fatal mistake. She trusts him. Light, using his charisma and calculated charm, gains her confidence. He learns her real name and writes it down. What follows is a death that you don't even see. Naomi disappears, her fate sealed not by confrontation, but by manipulation. Light doesn't kill her violently, he erases her. The pain comes from the silence, from how close she was to ending it all. She could have exposed Kira, she could have changed everything, but instead her brilliance was snuffed out, casually, cruelly, and with terrifying ease. L. Laureate. L's death is the axis on which Death Note turns. He wasn't just the greatest detective alive, he was the opposition, the one force who saw Light not as justice, but as a murderer. Their rivalry wasn't just tactical, it was spiritual. Two gods battling over the soul of humanity. For dozens of episodes, L and Light danced in shadows, watching, suspecting, moving closer, and then, just when L begins to unravel the truth, he dies. It is Rem who writes his name, forced into action by Light's manipulation. L dies in Light's arms, staring at the one person he truly trusted, the one who betrayed him. No screams, no fight, just quiet defeat. And what makes it unbearable is the subtlety. L knew. In those final moments he knew that Light had won, that he had been outmaneuvered, and he accepted it. His death isn't just the fall of a genius, it's the fall of hope, and it marks the start of Light's reign as a false god, unchecked and unstoppable. Rem. Rem is a Shinigami, a death god, cold, detached, and ancient. But through her time with Misa, something changes. She learns to care, to protect, to love. And that love is used against her. Light backs her into a corner, manipulating Misa into danger so that Rem is forced to act. She writes L's name, she kills to protect Misa, and in doing so she seals her own fate. Shinigami are forbidden to kill for love. The punishment is death, and Rem knows it. She vanishes in a pillar of dust, not crying, not begging, but resolved. She gives up eternity for a single human life. Rem's death is painful because it's the most selfless act in a world filled with selfishness. She died for love. In a story that rarely acknowledges love as anything but a weapon, Rem made it her final choice. Soichiro Yagami. Soichiro Yagami was the moral pillar of Death Note, a police chief, a father, and a man who believed in justice above all, even when it meant risking his life. While others played games of power and deception, Soichiro remained grounded in honor. His death comes after a raid on Melo's hideout. He's critically injured in the crossfire and hospitalized, but Light, his own son, the very monster Soichiro was unknowingly chasing, keeps up the facade. As Soichiro lies dying, Nia lets him briefly possess the Death Note. And for a fleeting moment, he thinks he's succeeded. He believes that Light is innocent, that Melo's name written in the notebook means his son couldn't possibly be Kira. He dies with peace in his heart and a lie on his lips. Soichiro's death isn't explosive. It's tragic, because he never knew the truth, because his life, his belief, his entire fight was manipulated by the person he loved the most. And he never got to say goodbye to the real Light, the boy he raised before the notebook twisted him into something else. Teru Mikami. Teru Mikami was a fanatic, a man consumed by the idea of divine justice. When light found him, it was like watching a cult form in real time. Mikami didn't just obey Kira, he worshipped him. Everything about Mikami was precision, discipline, cleanliness. He was the perfect disciple and the perfect weapon. But his death is the unraveling of a man betrayed by the very god he adored. When Nier exposes Light during the final confrontation, Mikami panics. He realizes he was nothing but a pawn, a disposable extension of Kira's will, and when his desperation peaks, he does the unthinkable. He kills himself in court, slashing his throat in front of everyone. Mikami's death is raw, sudden, and messy, the breakdown of belief made physical. It's the death of a man who gave everything for a god who never cared. Light Yagami. Light's death is not just the end of the series, it's the collapse of an ideology. From the moment he picked up the Death Note, Light believed he could change the world, that he was chosen, that his intelligence gave him the right to judge others, and for a long time he was unstoppable. But when Nier outmaneuvers him, when the final trap is sprung, we see the truth. Light isn't a god, he's a cornered teenager, panicked, bleeding, begging. As he flees the warehouse, wounded and delirious, memories flash, the early days, the notebook, L, his father, his ambition, and for a moment, we see the boy he once was. Ryuk, true to his word, writes Light's name in the notebook. And just like that, Kira dies. No final speech, no redemption. Just a slow, lonely death on a staircase, staring into the void. Light's death is painful not because we wanted him to win, but because we followed him. We watched his rise, we understood his logic, and in the end we saw it fall, violently, publicly, and completely. Ray Penber. Ray Penber's death was the first moment we realized who Light really was. An FBI agent sent to Japan to investigate the Japanese task force, Ray was competent, cautious, but he was also engaged. In love. That love was his undoing. Light cornered him, not with a gun, but with a smile. He slipped him a piece of the Death Note, disguised as a fake assignment, and then, from a safe distance, Light wrote his name. Ray died on a train, quietly, heart stopped, and he never knew how. But the pain didn't end with him, because Naomi Misora, his fiancée, was next. Ray's death is chilling, because it wasn't necessary. It was Light showing off, demonstrating how far ahead he was and how ruthless he could be. It was the first domino, the first murder that wasn't about justice, but about power, and it set the tone for everything to come. Mello, Michael Kell. Mello lived in El's shadow. He was erratic, impulsive, and proud, everything Neo wasn't, but underneath the leather and fire was a boy desperate to prove himself. When El died, Mello took a different path, not justice through logic, but results through force. He joined the mafia. He threatened, kidnapped, and schemed. He became the chaos Kira couldn't control. Mello was never reckless. He was strategic. And in the end, his gamble paid off. He kidnapped Takada, Light's spokesperson and secret weapon. That single act forced Light to act emotionally, leading to Takada's death, which gave Nia the final puzzle piece. Mello's death wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. Takada wrote his name. He burned alive in a truck, alone. But it was meaningful. Because Mello knew he wouldn't survive. He knew he wasn't the one to defeat Kira, but he also knew Nia couldn't win without him. Mello died not for glory, but for the game, for victory, and in doing so he helped end it all. His final move wasn't a mistake. It was a checkmate from the grave. Death Note is not a story that glorifies death. It deconstructs it. These deaths weren't flashy. They were layered. loaded with consequence. Naomi was silenced by genius, Elle was taken down by trust, Rem chose love, Soichiro died in ignorance, Mikami died in despair, and Light died consumed by his own illusion. Every one of them mattered, because in Death Note, death isn't an escape, it's the echo that lingers. Which one of these deaths broke you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you are still reeling, don't worry, we've got more. Check out our video on the most brutal deaths in Attack on Titan. It's linked right here. Like, subscribe, and remember, the most dangerous power is believing you are right.